Hi, it's Mike with Matawan Works, back again with a new video. I hope you enjoy. Hey, it's Mike with MAB Landworks. We just got here to a job site in Jackson. We're going to start offloading the skid steer. The Thomas is going to come down. The MT85 is already here. George is up there. Get the bucket up off the ground so we can get the ramps out. Ramps get pinned behind the bucket with the 78-inch bucket. With the 78-inch bucket, there's not a whole lot of room left to load the ramps on the sides or anywhere. So we usually lift the bucket up off the ground, slide them underneath the skid steer, and put the bucket back down. So anyway, the job here is the customer had fill dirt, or really overburden from another job. I guess nearby they're doing a lot of construction here in Jackson. And we have a lot of, they're looking to get rid of a lot of dirt. So unfortunately, they kind of messed up a little bit because they put all the black stuff on this side and the subsoil on this side. So we're going to grab some of the subsoil, move it over to the deep end, and try and move things around a little bit. We also have the MT85 that the Harley rake is working amazing. This thing is awesome, well worth the $7,000 it cost me, but it is really doing the job well. We have two buckets in the machine. We're going to have a 72-inch bucket for the MT85, and George is just going to help me around the edges and do a little bit of busy work while I push everything around. Once we're set, we'll use the MT85 to really do the finishing touches, smooth everything out, and then run the Harley rake. There's a few stumps over there that I might have to come back later with the mini excavator to get out. They're one of them was a decent sized oak, so that might be a bit of a struggle. So anyway, this is the job today, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get some video, some time lapse, maybe set a camera up somewhere. So first things first, we started making a road up to the top of the hill. We're using the subsoil. This is actually almost like crushed concrete and clay. Very compactable, very good, stable soil. The black stuff is actually overburden, which is essentially what's ripped off the top of a construction job. That's the step before the topsoil. They would take the overburden, sift it, and then you get your topsoil from there. All the brush and roots and junk get sifted out of the soil and discarded. This is what they brought. This is actually two people. You see that white truck right there. He's bringing in the overburden, and he's going to be bringing more material throughout the day. We abandoned our efforts to swap the soils. There's just way too much overburden and not enough subsoil to even make it worth while to swap anything out. So, and since he was continuing to bring material in throughout the day, the customer had told us we really needed to rough this in very quickly so we can get him to drop the material where we need it, instead of closer to the road, and then we were going to have to move it with the machines, which takes quite a bit of time. It's a very soft, very wet clay material here, very hard to work with. But as the day goes on, we work it, and eventually we end up with a little something that came out pretty nice. So the customer told us that we were going to be working with about 15 loads of material. When we showed up to do the work. There were 15 loads already there. I believe he brought an extra 2 loads. And I had come to an agreement with the customer that so long as he could get the material here before 2 o'clock, that I could, handle pretty much whatever he could bring over. And he got it pretty close. I think it was 2:30 was when he showed up with the last load. So I thought he was done, but you'll see that later. And of course, we got to coordinate a little bit, see what the situation calls for. So from here forward, I'm going to try and time-lapse this and speed it up as much as I can. I couldn't get a better angle, unfortunately. Shooting from the house back towards the woods would have the sun in the camera the whole time. Unfortunately, later in the day when the sun goes down behind the trees, I'm able to get some shots from up there, but for the majority of the day, the sun was just not going to cooperate. Here's a close-up of the Harley rig in action. This thing is amazing as far as processing this kind of clay material. You can see it's picking all the rocks out, it's pulverizing, and it just does such a nice job just doing that finishing touch. A little harder to use on this on that side. As we go farther towards the back, towards the wood line, there's actually a 2-to-1 slope. It's a little harder to get the right traction on that. But you can just see George go back and forth, and that's it. And a couple of hours he hit it with the rake. I think he was on it for 2 hours, just going back and forth, working this material. A few low spots came up here and there. We had some other digging that the customer asked for us to do, so I used that to fill in some of the low spots. And George just went back and forth with that Harley rake till load number 3 showed up, and then pretty much I tried to do as little tearing up at that point. George did such a nice job with smoothing everything out. I didn't want to damage anything, so I just kind of kept to a corner, and I pushed that dirt real quick, and George just kept hitting it with the Harley rake, and that was it for the job. Once again, this is Mike from Mab Landworks. Thank you for watching. See you next time.